Welcome to Knox County, where today I'll be playing as a carpenter with a fear of blood who happens to have the way of saw and is really good in the wild. My name is Jeremy O'Neill, and this is my story. On day one, I start off in a house that I don't quite recognize. First things first, I search the kitchen for some useful supplies and food. I decide to take a gander at the rest of the house to see if I can find anything useful, but none of these books have anything to do with what I want to do. I happen to pull out some drip from the closet, and then I decide to rip up some rags from bandages. I couldn't go outside without this pink jacket. I decided to check the vehicle in my driveway to see if there's any useful supplies in it, and also to check the condition. To my surprise, there happened to be some alcohol wipes, a battery, and the car key. Let's just hope it's in good condition. To be honest, I was not very surprised when I noticed that the car was in terrible condition. I do have the settings quite low. I decided to take a quick peek into my neighbor's house to hopefully get a weapon. Metal bar will have to do for now. I take a quick peek at the bookshelves to hopefully find some useful skill books. First aid 1 to 2 happens to be quite useful at this current point in time. I spend the entire rest of the evening reading this book in their library, and decide that it's probably time to hit the hay right now since it's really late. I close off all the windows in the house and remove the broken glass on the window just in case I had to make a quick escape. I decide that since there's no door to this room, I'm going to pick up this chair and block off the doorway with it, just to give me a little bit of extra time to hopefully wake up if a zombie comes from inside. Upon securing the room, I hop into bed, just to do it all again tomorrow. Day 2 happens to be quite insignificant as well, but first, let's start off by looting the kitchen. My character is feeling a little bit hungry. Upon entering the kitchen, I find a bunch of cans of food, which will be very useful considering that my character is extremely hungry at this point. I do happen to find a bowl of strawberry jello, which is going to be my first meal of this playthrough. Just look at him gobble down that entire bowl. No mercy. I decide to sit down at the table and finish reading off the book that I was reading the day before. I accidentally fast forwarded all the way towards the end of the day, still reading this book, so we're just going to end up going to sleep again. I forget to block off the door this time. It is now day 3, and I really want to get the ball rolling, but I happen to wake up a little bit too early due to a nightmare, so I'm left with starting off in the middle of the night. I go back out into the room and finish reading off this book. To kick off our day, I ate a nice meal, and then we checked the back room that I forgot about. Just ends up being a bathroom. We don't find anything too useful, but I drink my neighbor's piss water. I decide to head out to the main road and see if I can find anything useful. We run into a couple of zombies and a car wreck. This happened to be a really close call, and I actually shit myself when this happened. I thought it was all over. I dispatched the remaining zombies and turned their clothes into shredded fabric for my bandages. I smashed into the car, hoping to find some useful materials. Found some alcohol wipes and some Zen tobacco, so that is quite useful. There happens to be nothing useful in the trunk, so I decided to move further down the road. This pipe is making slight work of my neighbors. I would like to find an upgrade soon, though, so we decided to move south and hopefully run into some more houses. I locate a house further into the trees, so I decided to go check it out. There happens to be some company, but we take care of them quite easily as they might happen to be a little stupid. I find nothing useful on his body, so I decide to go invade his house. I hear that he has some company, so I have to take things a little slower. I find a hoodie in their sink, and I decide to wear it because I lost my hat, and I don't like looking at my bare head. I find a zombie hiding in the bathroom, and I dispatch her real quick. I check my surroundings, but then I go back into the bathroom, and I find vitamins in the sink, which will prove to be very useful later, and then I drink her piss water just because I'm a little thirsty. I hear a zombie munching further down into the house, as well as a zombie in the closet to my left. I dispatch of the one that's a more immediate threat. I find a motorcycle helmet, which would then provide more defense for my head. So I decided to also check this room, but I find pretty much nothing useful, and I head back out to deal with the zombie in the closet. Last time I checked, it's 2024, and it should be okay for them to come out of the closet by now, but you do you, my friend. I find a file, as well as some other useful things in this gym. Well, not a gym, but will be a gym in the future. I checked this back room, happened to find a welding mask, which was pretty nice, as well as a box of nails. This will prove useful when it comes to fortifying my base in the future. I move to the kitchen and find another bowl of strawberry jello, as well as a couple of other useful trinkets, and a lot of food. I decide to chow down on some food just to get my character's stats back up a little bit. Feeling a little peckish. I happen to find a bunch of alcohol, including a wine bottle and a bottle of beer. This excites me quite a bit. I decide to leave it there for now, though. Little did I know, moving to my neighbor's house will actually be a quite nice turn in these line of events. Upon first sight, I find a prepper, which happens to have very nice looking clothing, a gas mask, and a helmet for me. This really turns things around. I decide to strip him naked and take all of his clothes for myself. I don't know about you, but Jeremy happens to be looking quite drippy right about now. I try to find an entry to the house, but with my luck, all of the doors are locked. Looks like we're taking the side route. I removed the broken glass of the window so I can hop into this bathroom, as this is the quickest entry that I could find. I happen to find a bandage in the mirror, and then I moved down into this bedroom, which proved to not have very many useful items, so I decided to take this trash bag and shove all of my items into it to help carry them around a little bit easier. It is now time to clear out the rest of this house. I don't hear anything moving around, so I decided to check this closet. Finding pretty much nothing useful, I then move into the garage. The garage happened to have some pretty useful supplies, actually. We then move on to checking this bathroom, finding nothing super useful in the sinks, but we did manage to find some Belle Delphine bathwater. We take a seat at the table and chow down on some food, as it is a long day. We move on to the kitchen to find even more food. Stuff that we'll definitely be able to cook up in the future, along with a sewing kit, which will be incredibly useful when it comes to fixing up our clothes. I hear some zombies out back, so I decided to check my surroundings and get a nice view of what my land looks like, because I feel like I'm going to be calling this place home. It even has a grill. Upon deciding that this place will be my home, I decided to clear out the surrounding area. I wanted to try out this knife and see how well it did against the zombies, and as you guys can see here, it took a little bit to kill this guy. His friend really just wanted to get a little nibble at my toes, but I did not let him. Upon returning to the garage, I decided to offload all of my items since I wanted to stay here. Since it was getting a little dark outside, I decided to remove all the broken glass from the windows just to make sure I had an escape route, as well as close all the curtains so I could get ready for bed. And that was the end of today. Upon waking up on day 4, it happened to be still quite early, so I decided to go take a nice little bath. But you nasty little perverts aren't going to be able to see that. I hop outside to go take a look at the banging that I hear coming from my top left. Upon trying to walk through this tree, I get a key icon, which means there's a car here, but as you can see, I can't really see anything. I happen to find the edge of the car, and then to my surprise, there is a massive truck just chilling right here. I silence my obnoxiously loud neighbor so I get to take a peek in my shed. The door is barricaded. I'm gonna have to find another way, but then I get distracted with wanting to go check the condition of the truck. Its battery was shot, but the engine was in nice condition. Could be worth fixing up later. A water tanker will be quite useful in transporting liquids, especially gas. I make my way back over to the shed to hopefully find some goodies inside. I could really use some tools. The window is jammed, so I decided that the best action is going to be to smash it. I removed the glass and hopped through, only to find that my time was very much so wasted. except for this box of nails. I exit my garage with hopes of going to the main road so I can look for some more useful supplies. I wanted to check out the houses on the other side. First things first, I stop at this car wreck to see if I can find any useful supplies in this vehicle. Of course, the trunk is locked, so I have to take a peek inside. And with my luck, of course, the doors are locked too. So I break my way in, hop into the front seat, check for more supplies inside the glove box, finding some magazines, and then I unlock all the doors in the trunk so I can take a peek inside. I find a spare tire on the back, as well as a jack and a lug wrench inside the trunk. I'll leave those there for now. I move to the house that is directly to my north to take a peek and see if they've got any stuff that I would like to steal. I find a nice looking vehicle, but I also hear some company in the distance. I spot a guy who has got a gun on his back. This excites me quite a bit. So I beat the shit out of him, as well as his wife. It's a Howa 1500 hunting rifle. We'll definitely take that for now. I happen to have quite a bit of company inside this house, as well as a straggler on the outside. I dispatch the straggler so I can get more prepared for those that are within. I decide that the best approach for this is going to be to let the guys out, knock them down, take a quick peek inside, and then beat the hell out of them somewhat one at a time. I pull them outside and close the door to help separate them from the group, so I only have to take on a couple at a time. This one happens to be a runner, so this was definitely the right move. I hear that there happens to be quite a lot more inside, but there's a trip off to my left, so I gotta make sure that my rear is secure first. I make quick work of that loser. We hop back inside and take care of the ones that are stuck on the windows. Upon entering this closet, I happen to find a brick hammer and a sleeping bag. That'll definitely be useful for the future. We take care of the stragglers that are inside to make sure that my premises is secure. I close the curtains to help reduce the visibility inside, and I take care of the one that's banging on the secured window. There's a smoker here, which happens to be pretty useful in the future as well. I find another zombie inside, and I take care of her real quick. But then that ends up drawing out the rest that are in the house. I don't know how I managed to one-shot that one by stomping, considering that they were halfway standing up, but I decided to drink their bathwater as well. Sadly, it was not as good as Belle Delphine's. I was about to wash myself, but then I noticed a peeping Tom walking by the window, and I got a little nervous, so I went and closed it. I returned to washing myself and my clothing. I head back to the living room and find a couple of useful books that I decide to read. After some time, I happen to get absolutely scared shitless. I have no idea where this zombie came from, and my heart was racing. Upon realizing that I was very fatigued, I decided to rest at the chair and then get back to reading. It is now nighttime, so we are going to retire for the night. Upon waking up on day 5, I decide that today is the day we get our base starting to be useful. I start off the day with a nice meal. And I go back to the kitchen to try and find some more food. I end up finding an entire box of cereal, which I go ahead and munch down real quick. And then I also happen to find the key to the vehicle that's out in the driveway. I decided to go check that out real quick, considering that now this could be my chance at a functioning vehicle. I hop inside to check the glove box to see if there's anything useful, but there is not. We pop open that hood, check the quality, and we're crossing our fingers. And it happens to work. The vehicle is actually in fairly decent condition. The only thing that is not is the battery. And it's only a standard, so we should be able to replace that fairly easily. I hop into the shed in the backyard, only to find some nails. But the good thing is there's another one right next door. It's a very nice day outside, but the loot in the shed happens to be actually pretty useful. We find a nice little tool belt and some wood glue, and then we hop into their house. Upon entering the house, I don't really find anything super useful inside of the kitchen, but I find some nice books inside of the bookshelf. We hop into the bathroom to acquire some more piss water, as well as check out the bedroom. Find some mac and cheese, which I am extremely excited about, but then I also find myself a nice phallic bat. I'll have some fun with this later. Starting my walk home, I did not realize that this was going to be the start of the end. I had great plans for this place, but little did I know things were about to turn a dark, dark corner. I'm ambushed by a zombie that was on the other side of this tree and made absolutely no noise. I heard the crunch, but I was not going to accept my fate. I decided to try and fight, but I got munched again in the back, and this one happens to be a runner. I'm quickly outnumbered, and I try to stumble out of my way, but there's just too many of them. They start to ambush me from behind again, and they almost grappled me, but I slipped away like a slippery little snake. There's a bunch of crawlers, as well as the runner behind me, and I dash into the woods. I'm really hoping the trees will slow them down a little bit as I try and make my way back to my house. Upon receiving the bites, my damage goes way down, and I am really defenseless. I try to run away, but my movement speed is also very slow due to my exhaustion. This runner is really giving me some problems right now, and at this point, I need to just get away. I run straight back to the house, get back into the garage, and I mess up, and it grapples me again, ripping into my arm. I close the garage door, take a quick breath, and examine my wounds. I'm bitten. This is the end. I take care of my wounds and try and stabilize my vitals before I go back out and take my frustration out on the zombies banging on my door. I smack them in the head with my giant, meaty, phallic bat. I head back inside with a strong feeling of defeat. It is now nighttime and I am very tired, so I head to the bed to try and get some rest before tomorrow. Upon awakening on day 6, I decide that it's time to head outside and deal with my problem. I know the end is nigh, so at this point, I just want to take out as many of them as I can before I go down. I take out the stragglers, and I make my way up the street. My character is still incredibly weak, but I decide to move on. This giant phallic bat is giving me the support that I need in this dire situation. Grabbing it by the balls, I happen to find yet another prepper zombie. I very slowly dispatch of him as well. I decide that it's time to just call in as many as I can, since the end is near anyways. It started off with 1, and then 2, but then they quickly started trickling out of the woods. This one happened to have some humanity left inside of it, as it stammered for help. I did not know where they all came. All of a sudden, I just felt so overwhelmed. I decided to backpedal and try and take them on one at a time. I was very outnumbered. My character was still incredibly weak due to the wounds. They came up behind me yet again. I just keep pressing on. I decide that the thing I need right now is something with a quick attack speed, as I'm doing very low damage anyways. A result to using the knife. These 2 zombies on the floor really want my toes, but I don't let them get it. I just keep beating their friends up top, only to realize that they just grappled me. I was stuck. I really needed to get moving now because they were starting to tear into me. He almost got a nibble on me, but I was extremely lucky to backpedal when I did. I decided it's time to make a little bit of a dash towards the house and gain some distance on them. I needed a break, and I needed to switch weapons, for the phallic bat was going to break soon. I tried out using that hammer, but I was not quite liking how it was working. It did not have the range like the bat. There was a lot of zombies on the floor, and they happened to get a bite of me, and then they nunched my neck. I thought it was over, but I managed to push them all down at the same time, and I stomped on some of the crawlers, got a couple of more hits in, and then I stumbled back into the house to try to get away. Pushing them back one at a time, I decided that it was time to run, as I could not keep them all off of me for very long. Me, very wounded, I hobble into the house and I close the doors. I'm bleeding all over the place. I can't run. It is time to stop and take some pills to try and heal up a little bit. I stumble into the kitchen upon healing my wounds, and I decided that it's time to get absolutely shit-faced. This sneaky little guy comes from the backyard, but I quickly take care of him after realizing that there is no door there. I down an entire bottle of wine. Followed up with the bottle of beer. How I'm drinking this through my gas mask, I have absolutely no idea. With my newly found buzz, I switch to my phallic bat and decide that it's time to take care of him. The buzz drives me insane. I'm finally revitalized, and I can actually deal some damage. I get quite overconfident, and I happen to realize that I am not doing as much damage as I thought I was. I got quite lucky, but I found my strength again and decided to just dispatch of the rest in the house. They all happen to fall over and stand on top of each other, so I just take them out one at a time, but my bat breaks through the extended use of bashing their skulls in. I switch to the hammer and decide to drop the bat since it is no use anymore. Then I realize I didn't loot one of the things in the closet, and I happened to get my hands on a crowbar. The end might be nigh, but this crowbar is definitely going to prove useful in the short amount of time that I have left. I take care of the last zombie that was in my surroundings. Even though it took quite a few hits, he finally dropped. Upon noticing that the area was clear and it was going to be a zombie soon anyways, I decide to finally settle down and breathe. It was a very long day. The end was nigh, and I felt defeated. I found this amazing car in the backyard that I really just wish I had more time to make mine. I take a seat outside and just enjoy the fresh air. Only to get interrupted. This piece of shit decided to interrupt my peaceful time. I can't even sit here and die in peace. You're just gonna walk up on me while I'm trying to have my moment? Hell no! I dispatch of that heathen and I sit back down at the car to finally enjoy my time. I may have only survived for 5 days and killed 62 zombies, but I feel very accomplished. If it weren't for that one zombie in the bush. The tragedy of Jeremy O'Neill.